Now we want to take a second to go over feedback implementation. Feedback is a vital tool for businesses to help them achieve excellence. In this lesson, we want to go over some of the strategies and best practices for effectively implementing feedback to help you drive continuous improvement and sustained success. And before we go any further, let's understand a little bit more about feedback implementation. The definition is simple. It's the process of taking actionable steps based on feedback received from customers, employees, or potentially stakeholders. The significance is that it directly impacts product quality, service delivery, and the overall business performance. Some of the primary sources that you can gain valuable feedback from are going to be customer reviews, employee feedback, and stakeholder insights. For customer reviews, this is where you're going to get insights about your product or services directly from the user. Employee feedback is a valuable perspective from those who work within the business and know the business inside out. And then finally, we have stakeholders. This is going to be your feedback from investors, partners, or other key stakeholders that may have a say in how the business is run. Now let's take the time to go over the steps for effective feedback and implementing all of that information into your business. Step 1, the collection phase. This is where you can use surveys, feedback forms, focus groups, and other direct interactions. This ensures that the feedback channels are accessible and user-friendly because you want to make sure that the most amount of people can give you feedback. Getting feedback directly from your customers will help you to produce a better, more customer-centric product, which ultimately will help you sustain business for years to come. And now that you have collected all of the information, it's time to analyze it. You need to categorize your feedback into themes or areas. This is where you can identify reoccurring issues or suggestions. Now, if you were to do this manually, it would take a lot of time, which is why we want to encourage you to continue watching all the way through to the ChatGPT module, because in that module, we will teach you how to use the collected information from your surveys or feedback forms and have ChatGPT analyze it to help you identify those patterns faster. Now we move into the prioritization phase. This is where you can decide which feedback to act on immediately and what can be scheduled for later. Considering factors like impact, feasibility, and alignment with business goals, you can make sure that what you're doing now means the most and what you're doing later means the most then. To make it make more sense, what you want to do is go through all the analyzed data and select what actions you need to do today to make a better experience tomorrow. Now that you've prioritized all of your categories, it's time to take action. You need to develop a plan to address the feedback. This is where you can allocate your resource and you can set timelines to keep yourself on track. One of the reasons planning is so important in this moment is because if you have a solid enough plan, you know exactly what step to take to get to the affected goal. This is going to go back to when we talked about setting goals and objectives. Find out what your main goal is and set objectives to get you from point A to point B. Now it's time to communicate. This is where you get the chance to inform stakeholders, employees, customers, or whomever it is that you need to inform about the actions that are being taken based on their feedback. This is going to build trust because it shows that you're responsive to the feedback that they're giving you. Again, this is all about becoming a customer-centric business and using strategies that focus on your customers so that whenever you provide them value, it only gets better from there. And now we've come full circle. Now that you have done all of these steps in the process, it's time to review. And during the review stage, this is where you get to evaluate the effectiveness of the implemented changes. This is where you can seek more feedback on the new modifications, starting the entire process over. The point that I'm making by saying that is this is going to be a circular process for you guys. You are constantly going to want to be collecting feedback based off of changes, based off of growth, based off of new products, new ideas, whatever the case may be. You are always collecting feedback. And as always, you are going to hit challenges. But again and again, I will tell you, it's all about how you overcome those challenges that mean the most. Now it's time to distinguish the valid feedback by separating useful feedback from any outliers. You also have to manage the conflicting feedback, handling feedback from different sources that contradict one another. Sometimes you might get feedback from one person who's different from another's. You have to remember that each person is an individual. Resource allocation, knowing where to put your resources and when to hold them back. This is going to be an extremely hard thing to do, especially if you are a beginner in business and even if you've been doing it for several years. There are ways to overcome challenges, so if you do hit these challenges, make sure that you just step back, take the time, determine what steps you want to take, and take them effectively. And if you can push through all of those challenges, you can benefit from feedback implementation tenfold. All right, you can get continuous improvement, enhanced customer loyalty, and it's called informed decision making, which is probably my favorite part of business. Continuous improvements just means that you're regularly refining your products or services based on actual user feedback. The enhanced customer loyalty is going to demonstrate a value and responsiveness to the customer's opinion. And finally, informed decision making. This is where you can use feedback as a data source for strategic decision making, ensuring that every decision you make improves upon the customer experience, making it an enjoyable one so that they come back for more. Feedback is a goldmine of insight, but its true value is only realized when it is effectively implemented. As a business owner, it is your turn to navigate the ever-evolving market landscape. Feedback implementation remains one of the constant tools for adaptation, innovation, and growth. If you can learn to effectively gather feedback and implement the opinions and wants and desires of your customers directly into your products or services, you are building a foundation for a business to withstand the test of time.